What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Yokai Delinquents podcast. I am Sean Bearded Capolitan,
And I am Jerry Robotengu Smith.
and we want to thank y'all for tuning in once again. We want to thank everyone who's listened to our previous episodes, liked, commented, shared, all that good stuff. Y'all are awesome. And speaking of awesome, Jerry, I got something I want to start off with real quick here.
Oh, okay. What you got?
I know you're not much into the wrestling, but as we've mentioned before, that you gotta kind of love it when geekdom and nerdery kind of leaks into even like athletic competition, whether it's performance or otherwise.
Right,
And
right.
you're seeing more and more these days with wrestlers are kind of like getting their anime in. The New Day infamously dressed as Saiyans in armor and everything for WrestleMania.
Right.
Little things like this. Well, here recently, another nerdism has made headlines, at least on my social media feeds and whatnot.
All right.
There's been in the company All Elite Wrestling (AEW). There's been a long-standing feud between what's a couple of guys who've pretty much kind of fallen into the category known as jobbers, which are usually wrestlers who tend to lose more than win. And they've had their own little feud going on in some of the early parts of the show about, because neither one of them have got a win in the company yet. And
Hmm.
their names is one of them is Peter Avalon, who is the librarian. Like like the silliest damn gimmick, really, but it got over pretty quickly. He just comes out, he shushes the crowd, and he's got Levy Bates, who's the other librarian. like
Okay.
she comes out with him, and she's some of y'all wrestling fans out there may know her from NXT. She was known as Blue Pants, as she got nicknamed. But she's actually a pretty big in the indie scene as a cosplay wrestler. She usually does like dresses characters in her matches. But she is currently with Peter Avalon as the librarians, and they were but Avalon was taking on a wrestler known as Brandon Cutler. He comes out. His gimmick is kind of like a D&D character, right? He's got like
Well,
face paint,
okay.
kind of wizardy robe in a sense. Like I said, it has to be seen. Of course, description doesn't really judge. And he comes out rolling a big little oversized D20 die for his
Perfect.
entrance. But
That's
that's
fucking beautiful.
yeah, right. And that's he obviously talks about it a little bit. That's just kind of like a little bit of his gimmick. And they've been having it, like I said, back and forth. Usually, like they've been losing. They've been talking shit to each other. Avalon, especially being the heel, the bad guy, really teasing that Cutler. Calling him a loser, even though Cutler reminds him, you haven't won yet. So they finally are going to settle it, with a match with each other. Because they usually they basically fuck with each other about like every loss they had against other wrestlers in the company. And
Right.
solid match because they're both really good workers and doesn't haven't really obviously gone over big yet, but they're great mid range talent. And what caught everyone's attention was, I guess Cutler has had enough and decided to make this match go a little hardcore.
Hmm.
And the clip that's been going around, like if anyone who's watched wrestling, especially back in the '90s, the Attitude Era, and the 2000s, hardcore wrestling, classic spot in the middle of beating each other with the typical chairs and tables is pulling out a bag that's usually loaded with thumbtacks.
Right, right. Your typical backyard wrestling
Yeah,
move.
pretty much. Going all the way back to like ECW and stuff like that, even in the pros. But yeah, basically that backyarder kind of shit. Well, Avalon had to stay in character, and he produced a giant bag and then unloaded just D&D dice,
Fucking brilliant.
which anyone knows those D4s are not fun to step on.
Oh, oh, what about those fucking D3s
Oh,
though?
the
Or
threes,
yeah,
that's
no,
what
no,
I'm
you're
thinking
right,
of.
you're right.
Yeah,
D4,
four,
D4.
yeah, yeah. Then the pyramid ones
Yeah,
are not
yeah.
fun whatsoever. But
That's
he had
literally what tax Legos D4s.
I have seen Legos done before actually, but yeah, he threw it and it was all the different kinds of die. But even the announcer was like, "Oh, you don't want to step on a D4, that's pain," and he proceeded to like slam Avalon down on top of the dice, and he sold it like he just got hit with kryptonite. You know what I mean? Like
How
he
much
just.
do you think he did in that slam?
Oh, I mean that was. There was at least 20 dice. So I mean, from D20s to D4s. So I mean, yeah, he hit him for max crit damage and probably even a couple multipliers with a surprise attack.
It's fucking
Which,
perfect.
and of course, the beauty of the bookend of this whole story is, with that move, Cutler got his first victory in AEW.
Yes.
So
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to kind of love it. Was like both these guys are kind of like built up fandom, and just popularity through even kind of silly gimmicks, and they've never been headlining anything or doing anything major, just kind of feuding with each other. And it's actually a story that picked up momentum, and like he got a legit huge pop, audience reaction
Mm.
when he won. And I'm like, you know what? That's a feel good story of this shitty ass year.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing. Like, and has I know was it New Day has like streamed
Hmm.
uh video games and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do they have they done any like D&D sessions or anything like that?
Actually, yes. Xavier Woods of the New Day
Yeah.
plays Dungeons and Dragons along with a. I'm trying to remember who else had. One of the big ones was a female wrestler named Ember Moon. She's actually Lon talked about like in early interviews that she played Dungeons and Dragons all through college, so she kind of old hat to that, as well as they get some other sporadic wrestlers to come in, and yeah, they actually I think they've done it less since they can't meet in person as much anymore. But
Hmm.
yeah, that he has at least done some D&D, and of course, you get actors have started to kind of do that with Penny Arcade. They have had a lot of celebrity Dungeons and Dragons games.
In Critical Role.
Yeah. Oh, Critical Role gets the celebs, and what's the actor Joe Manganiello? He's actually a very big proponent of Dungeons and Dragons. He hosts his own like celebrity, usually big, jacked, handsome men, such as himself, playing with him. So he's kind of like I know he had the Big Show from WWE. I think was on there too, and like Lou Ferrigno, and like just these giant dudes who you
That's
wouldn't really
awesome.
think of when you think D&D.
Yeah, it's man, it's really like booming like in the last few years. Like it's
Yeah.
been getting out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's very cool. I mean, and again, you got those hidden low key like Vin Diesel. He's openly, admittedly, played D&D when he was in like high school and college and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. That dude's a huge fucking nerd though.
Really, really is. Who makes terrible fucking movies, but I do appreciate his love of Dungeons and Dragons.
What was that movie he was in? The Witch Hunter? Was that him?
Was he
Or
Witch
am I
Hunter?
Nicholas? He was in some kind of like um
That sounds right, like the last
some
Witch
like
Hunter.
fantasy. Yeah, yeah. Something like that. Like I know he was in a really bad one, and I mean, bad movie like King over here, Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
was in one, and I always get those two mixed up.
No, you had it right. Last Witch Hunter.
Nice.
That's Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oof.
I know the one you're talking about with Nick Cage, and that was like a medieval set of one. This one looks kind of like modern era, from what I can tell from looking at little pictures.
Yeah.
But something, and honestly, I haven't played D&D or Pathfinder like we used to in a while.
Hmm.
But there's something else we haven't done in a while, especially this year.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like so many things, but what specifically are you referring to?
Man, we are in as the time of recording, we're just getting into November,
Hmm.
and man, it just really hit me with with COVID going around, and obviously we want to be safe. We don't blame anyone for not holding these anymore, but like I haven't been to a convention all year.
Oh yeah. Man, I think the last one that I went to was actually Comic Conway.
Oh wow, that long ago.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
was that? That was in November of last
November
year.
last year. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's right. I forgot you were. Yeah, were you here? I think that
Not.
was 2 years
No,
ago.
no.
I'd say
Fuck.
2 years
Oh
ago at least.
yeah, I had already moved by then.
Yeah, you
Oh my
confused me for a second there, brother.
last convention I went to. I guess it might have been not another Comic Con last year, maybe.
No,
I think.
because there wasn't one, or last year maybe. Yeah, maybe last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so and that's usually beginning of the year.
Crap.
It's been a minute, and that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know why it just hit me hard here because, like, again, I guess Comic Conway would be around this time, which is is my favorite local convention as far as like
Mm,
bigger for Arkansas. you know,
right.
but I mean, we have Anime Con Arkansas. We have our buddy Larry's. He has not just another Comic Con, as you mentioned, a horror convention, which is always a lot of fun, and it's still kind of getting his feet on the ground with it. And I mean, any I would go to as many conventions here as I could, all the local ones that were go to, and like I have a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like I usually go to a con as early as if I want, especially even if I wasn't didn't have a table back when when I used to do my bead art or we were promoting the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. I'd be there from open to close, and even without a table, I would still do that. Just attending them.
Yeah.
I personally, I love cons. I mean, the good and the bad. I think we're going to get into both, but yeah. I mean, let's hear somebody like what's some of your con experiences or thoughts.
So my the first con that I ever went to, shit, I don't even remember the year. I guess it was probably around 2010 maybe.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
it was actually a comic book convention in Kansas City. I had a friend that
Oh,
just like all of a sudden hit me up out of the blue, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to this convention?" I because he was going to drive by himself, and
right.
it was like the wackiest shit, right? Because we drove all the way up there and all the way back in the same day, so it was
Woo.
like a long freaking day of travel. Like we spent more time traveling than we did at the convention. Um, but no, it was pretty dope. I didn't really know what to expect. I got a pretty great Green Lantern sketch from somebody.
Oh,
I honestly don't remember who. I don't think it was anybody big. I think it was just like just your standard like artists, that you have at conventions.
oh, okay. Right
Um,
on, right on.
and I
Support
remember
your
the
local artists out there, y'all,
yeah,
at these cons. Don't
absolutely,
don't just go for the big names.
yeah. You gotta support your local artists, help them out.
Yeah.
The I remember the big pool that they had that year because there was a huge Star Wars theme going on. They had Peter Mayhew,
Oh,
uh,
nice.
yeah, that played Chewbacca in the
Right.
original, like in the Star Wars movies. That motherfucker was huge, as you can imagine, and he had massive hands, and that was
Right.
the biggest thing that I remember at that convention. Like it was a lot of fun. I still like. I was into comic books at the time, but I wasn't as knowledgeable on comics at the time. So
Right.
like I didn't really buy a whole lot while I was there. Just the sketch that I picked up and a few other things. But yeah, I just remember like part of the way through the day it started snowing and we were like, oh, we got to get back to Arkansas like right now. Like, so yeah, it was pretty wild. I think after that, it was Acon in Dallas.
Oh,
My
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my first anime convention was freaking Acon, and it
Right.
was humongous. Really good time. I think I actually that was my first experience with the con flu.
Oh,
Uh,
fun,
yeah,
fun. We all
because
know the con crud is a lot of fun.
yeah, it hit me fucking hard, and even a week after that, like I was still dying. But yeah, no, that
That's
those were the first two conventions that I can really remember.
wow.
That I just had a blast doing them.
Yeah. Like my first one, I don't remember the name of it. It, I don't think it was River City. No, because River City started earlier or
Mm,
later in Sherwood. Because my first con I ever went to was in Little Rock somewhere, maybe in the same location River City ended up being
mm,
eventually. Because I don't remember. This is like early 2000s. My buddy of mine wanted to go because he wanted to attend some panels. And he was just like, "You want to go with me?" It's as long as you're driving, because back then I would not drive anywhere I wasn't familiar with.
right.
And so we went there. He full disclosure, he was I don't know, he's not someone I really speak to anymore, but he was a furry, and he wanted to attend some panels, and I think there was maybe a guest or something he knew from that fandom there, and I went, just whatever. I never, I'm not one to judge until you make it creepy or awkward in his cases. um, yeah, so we went for that. I sat in the panel, didn't have anything to say about it, but I did dig through some comics. I picked up the Clerks, a little one shot from Omni Press. The Kevin Smith Clerks comic. It was the first time I didn't know they existed. And I was really going deep into Kevin Smith at that point. So
Mm-hmm.
grabbed
Mm-hmm.
that, and my other memory from that was we left around 5 o'clock down 6:30. If you remember that, if you remember that part of the freeway after this is during a Friday, so yeah,
Yay!
bumper to bumper, and he tried to change lanes and ran into a motherfucker, and
Oh,
so
nice.
we got into an accident on the way back.
Oof.
Now I think like my second ever con though I think was River City when it was in Sherwood, if he was still calling it
Mm-hmm.
that. 'Cause I remember you introduced me to him when I was like kind of just starting out my beat art.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. River City was pretty dope starting out. I
yeah.
really enjoyed that one.
That was always a big one for me, especially when I started dealing, my art and stuff out there. But a lot of fun. Had a blast. Even when River City moved to the bigger venues, I still honestly I miss that con. I always
Yeah,
did well and always had a lot of fun because a huge open room conventions which are great for the con smell. And you know
Jesus Christ.
when you have
Smell.
like sometimes the small hotel room ones, you just don't really want to go into panels because the rooms are tiny. And like some people say, hey, man, if you can afford a ticket, you can afford a bar of deodorant. Man, y'all need to learn. But my actually we have an interesting. Is that what wasn't my for my first con, but I have a similar story about a 1 day trip out of state. The first time I went to ACON
Hmm.
wasn't with you,
Right.
Brian, my buddy that works for Crunchyroll. I think he was just starting, like maybe even before officially Crunchyroll. Like they were just kind of being kind of independent contractors for him. I don't,
They were just known as Roll back then.
well, no, like I think Crunchyroll was starting, maybe, but they were he needed to go there. He had to go do some FaceTime with the people, and he was like, Sean, do you
Uh,
want to drive to Dallas today? I'm like, I have to work tomorrow because we'll be back today. I'm like, oh shit. Which, for those who don't know, even speeding, that's at least usually a 6 hour drive.
yeah.
And we did not leave early. And the whole his whole thing for me was to be like, actually we left fairly early, but not like not 3 in the morning or anything. But we left early enough in the day. Rode out there. I wasn't driving because again, this was still my kind of my. I didn't really want to drive much, especially not to Dallas. I never traveled out of state, and we went there. I can't even tell you what I bought. I'm sure I didn't have much. I remember being fairly broke at that time. He just paid my way in, paid for gas, obviously. Just wanted some company because I was supposed to be there to talk to him to keep him awake.
Oh,
Which
that's sweet.
the ride there we got it good. We got there good. This was like not the one we went to hotel. I think it was a different hotel. I think it was a smaller one. Maybe the one you went to. Hell, it might have been the same one.
That
Now that I'm
would
thinking about it.
that'd be a shock. I just go through all my old pictures and like, oh hey, it's Sean and Brian in the background of this
Right.
one.
I mean, damn, it may have been possible, but
Yeah.
the only thing I remember, like, I don't remember if I bought anything. I may have got some kind of little small anime thing. I remember not having a lot of money, but he was like, "Well, I'm here. I gotta buy something," and he found a local, like, not a local. Well, maybe he might be local to Texas. It's a comic, a small comic known as Gold Diggers. Have you heard of that one?
I no, I have not.
It's kind of an anime inspired adventure story. He's like he just saw and he's Brian's been always more about like I'm gonna buy it from a smaller person, not anybody in the major industry. So
Hmm.
he's like, sell me on your book. Brian being Brian, and he's like,
Yeah.
basically said what I said. He's like, all right, fine, man, I'll buy the trade. He's like, hey man, and like the dude's assistant was kind of like, hey, for $5 more he'll sign the cover. Because I don't want him to mess up the cover. The dude looked at him like, I'm not even charging this dude. And he drew the main character in Sharpie on the cover of the book and said, "Oh no, I messed it up." Like, it's like as only Brian can do. I think he'll be a future guest eventually on on our show. Y'all get
Right.
a kick out of him. But and then we drove back, and I passed out on the way back, like fell asleep.
Oh no. Was Brian okay to drive with you being asleep?
Hopefully he may have fell asleep too, man. Sometimes you hit that freeway, you can just keep on coasting. You know what I'm
Did
saying?
Did you ever hear about that story when John and them came back one time?
Not sure. Go ahead.
Like you know how John is like the avid like drinker of energy drinks and stuff. They actually
Right.
got into a wreck and totaled his car one time on the way back home.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's never fun.
No.
But
They're
I'm
all fine by the way.
right. But actually, I would like to talk about our first ACON because we went
Yes.
together a couple times, but the first one that was big for me because I just kind of got absorbed into your cult of the House of August,
Right.
and
Well, you couldn't go the year prior
could not go.
because yeah, we were there's a chance we might accidentally molest you or something.
My wife, God bless her, is so worried about me being naive that I'm going to get kidnapped and molested. Men, women, I don't think it really matters. She's like, you don't know them people, and of course now she knows and loves everybody that's
Yeah,
within the group. But honestly, yeah, if I'm honest, yeah, she was not about that life. So
yeah, and then
I missed on that first trip.
yeah, but
But
then she met us and
yeah,
saw that we were good people for the most part.
and she was more worried about me molesting you at that point. But yeah, that first Acon, I didn't drive. I rode out with y'all, and
Mhm.
man, not only was that my first. I mean, like I went to Acon, but that first time, but I don't. We didn't do anything. We may have circled it one time, if that. And then we're like, "Hey,
Mm,
I gotta go. I have to work tomorrow," so we couldn't be there
right.
forever. But then when we went, we had the weekend, and that was not only that. It was my first cosplay. That was when we did
Yeah,
Beppo and
and
Trafalgar
law.
Law, and we had the Strong World, our own. Not only did I have my first costume, I had my first fan fiction, so whatever. We had our Strong World versions,
It was fucking brilliant too.
dude. Yeah, because it was. I mean, I'm gonna say easy because I think we all had our own little creative touches on there. What they would look like if they were yakuza, you know.
Hmm.
And like I was particularly proud that I found the bow tie and vest, the orange to go
Right.
over the black with the couple of pistoliers.
Yeah. It was really great. Like because he normally wears jumpsuit.
Yeah.
So like did we do the symbol on your vest at all? I
We
can't
did
remember.
not.
Oh,
We barely had time to put the symbol on the jumpsuit.
yeah.
Like because God bless her, Cat was being very helpful when I was. This
Yes.
was. I've since gotten to the point where I feel like I could have done that, but like
Right.
that's been years now of cosplay. But
Yeah.
yeah, we all were unfortunately like, Cat, do the thing, do everything. And Noelle,
Yes.
she was helping as well. We are just like, do it, do it, do it. Do this for us. And so yeah, we didn't get on there. I think we did, but people like if they thought again, it's always funny. As much as I love cosplaying Beppo, without a law, I often get mistaken for being a furry. If we're circling back to that, because if they don't, law is well known for in One Piece now, especially if they're current. But even back then, he was recognizable. A very iconic look. The sword, the hat, the hoodie is all very iconic. But if I'm just a polar bear in a jumpsuit,
Mhm.
there's a good chance
I
people.
mean, I think nowadays people would probably notice you a bit more
Yeah,
because he's been in this series a little bit more now.
yeah. I disappointed a family at the last Anime Con. I went. Was it Anime Con or it may have been Anime Con. Yeah, I think it was Anime Con Arkansas, where
Uh,
I was like, in my mind, I was kind of getting out of doing cosplay too much because I wanted to focus on stuff at the tables at the convention, running the tables and
mm,
stuff. So I was kind of doing a retirement tour, and day one I did Beppo because I want to get him out the way because that mascot hat is hot as balls.
right.
And I was at one of my friends that were doing a maid cafe thing, and that was as creepy as it was awesome. But
Mhm.
having fun in there, and I heard a whisper, hey, hey, and I looked back, and I forget what they were dressed as, but they were like, "Are you wearing that tomorrow?" I'm like, "Oh, I wasn't planning on it. What's up?" He goes, "Oh, we're coming in as Law." They're coming in as One Piece characters, and one of them was going to be Law, and they wanted.
Yeah.
And I was like, I shouldn't have been a dick. And I wasn't rude about it, but I could have at least brought Beppo for shots with them. I think I was doing a team Skull that next day.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh man, speaking of Team Skull,
Yeah,
you actually did that to another convention we went
I
to.
did. I
Yes.
did. We many moons ago. It just gets further and further every year, and it makes me sadder and sadder. We went to Japan,
Yes.
and amongst many great things that we're definitely going to have to dedicate an entire probably episode to talking about it. One of the things we went to was I want to say it was funny. I was thinking about this actually the other day. Was it like the Consumer Electronic Expo or because it wasn't like
It was like the Tokagi game show.
man, good
Yeah.
memory there, sir.
Oh,
But
I don't have a good memory. I just found my album for it on Facebook.
even better. Yeah, and we were at a con, and I knew. I did. I think Brian had mentioned when we were planning the trip, when he was kind of well, not us planning, him telling us where we're going. We're just like, whatever you say. We're just happy to be here. He mentioned
Right.
the con. I'm like, is it a like is it a convention I can cosplay in? And I had Pokemon Sun and Moon had just come out or it came out recently enough to where I already made my Team Skull cosplay. And teams, if y'all don't
Yes.
know, it's pretty much street clothes: bandana, hat, shirt, shorts. Very, very, very easy to pack up and take with me. And yeah, so and even better for that was before we went to the con, we went to that Pokemon stop, the Pokemon Center,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
found the Team Skull Pikachu plush.
Yes.
So I had that on top of my cosplay, and we went there. And oh man, I mean, don't get it wrong. Like it's wonderful when anybody approaches you at a con and you're in cosplay. They just ask for your picture. But this might just be the weeb in me talking right now. But the fact that Japanese people stopped me for my picture was a
Right.
little extra special, especially
Yeah.
like if you stopped or even just complimented, they're just like, oh no, kawaii, it's cute, like especially the Pikachu, like they just like the Pikachu, they don't not talking about me. But what's really cool
uh,
was sorry.
no, no, go ahead. I think you were about to say what I was going to say.
That when we found the cosplay corner, because at this con they really kind of wanted all photo ops and everything taken in a little separate corner, which isn't a bad thing when you're not like a cosplay convention. There really was like that was they were previewing the Switch, I think, before it ever came out. Like you had a
Hmm.
chance to line up. That's why Brian wanted to go, and he didn't even get to do that. But
Yeah.
I ran into a Team Rocket cosplayer
Yep.
who had a Team Rocket Pikachu plush. And we have, and he's in the proper saluting, the salute, holding his Pikachu, and I'm doing the. If y'all don't know, like Team Skull are very like kind of street hoodlums, so I'm kind of taking on a little like street pose, holding my cute ass Pikachu. And, yeah, and that was great, as well as meeting the other some like obviously like Sun and Moon had been out there a little longer than it had been here, I believe. Anyway, they're still getting their games a little before us, and
Hmm.
ran into a the female grunt of Team Skull, and like she was clearly doing something, and it in retrospect it may have been rude that I was kind of like trying to get her attention, but I was like I got so excited, I was like oh shit, and I knew we couldn't communicate. But there's a universal language with Team Skull, and that's their b-boy style posing they do in their just idle animation. And like everyone around us saw me first. And you kind of I remember them specifically hearing like oh, and then she kind of like looks up and she turned around. And I just started doing the hand gestures, and she just went right into it. It was so fucking cool.
Yeah. So great.
Yeah, we got, and
Yeah.
of course we got a picture together and trying to communicate. I don't think she really understood or just didn't want to. I don't know, either way, it's fine. But I kind of like offered her to hold the Pikachu or whatever, and but she was like, oh, just kind of hand gestured. It's okay. It was great. And I know she won't ever hear this, but thank you for being the other team grunt because there was a lot of like cosplayers, Pokemon especially,
Hmm.
was at that show, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, that one, like I said, getting the cosplay in Japan just as a cosplay bucket list. I think that should be on everyone's if it's not. And
Yeah.
I checked that off.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a fun show. Saw a lot of cool stuff. Man, their setup for all the video games and stuff that they had there was incredible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and they had
not
like
not not a lot of vendors though, which is I guess something that's more normal at a show in Japan. Is they have just more stuff that they're showing off, more stuff that's going to be released later in the year and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
yeah, because I feel like it was really more so than like what you would normally see here, where there's a whole vendor section of people just selling. That
Hmm.
con really came across more like, hey, we're showing off. These are like nothing but companies showing
Hmm.
their upcoming lines. Like
Right.
showing what's going to be available in stores later on.
Hmm.
And because like I believe wasn't there a whole booth of just SH Figure Arts or one of those big
They
action
had
figure companies?
they had like a Bandai booth and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And I mean the biggest thing there, since it was a game show, is they had like booths for like Sega and Square Enix and stuff like that, so you
yeah,
can check out some of their stuff. I think for the Switch, if this uh, some of these pictures that I have are correct, they were showing off like frame. Was it frame arms?
Oh,
Whatever that
yeah, yeah.
something
I know,
arms or something like
arms, yeah, something like that.
arms.
The
Gotcha.
boxing one,
Hmm.
and I know they had a. I got a picture with a big statue of Link from Breath of the Wild,
Yeah, yeah,
showing off that too. I think at least some early demo of it or something. Not playable probably yet at that point.
yeah. Just some like videos and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
And oh,
I think they even had a Pokestop in there.
they did.
Like they had a whole like Pokemon Go Pokestop.
Yeah, they had
Um,
a life size like the little spin for those who play Pokemon Go. You know the stops you spin. They had a life size model one, which I also got a picture in front of.
mhm.
Because of course Go. I mean, we were there, and Go started Gen 2 while we were there. So
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
that was big for us because we were still both heavily into Pokemon Go at that point. The other
Yeah.
little side cool thing for me too, and then I want to get back to Akon here in a second.
Mhm.
I did love though that they randomly. It felt very random. Maybe it recently got ported to like on phones or something. They had Final Fantasy V. They had a standee where you could stand where like the enemies would be, and they had the party lined up on the side for you to take poses in. And I'm like, that's just random as shit. I know five is bigger in Japan than it was here, but
Yeah.
it felt very random. I'm like, I'm Team Skull. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna fight the Warriors of Light.
Perfect.
And I got you and Brian were taking pictures of me for me, and I was about to get down, and this woman ran over and was like, "Wait, please, please," very just like basic English, please. Like, oh, got right back into the poses, and she was just snapping. Then more people came up. I was like, they don't even know me. I'm so happy right now.
Don't you know this is the famous cosplayer from America?
They had to know of my fame and fortune. But the reason I want to jump back into Acon was because not only did we do we were part of some photo shoots in
Hmm.
our cosplay, which is another big thing I love doing, especially cosplaying and the conventions and seeing all like the great cosplayers who get to do photo shoots. But I want to take a second to bitch real quick
Okay.
because this is the second time we went to Acon, and
Right.
this is something about, and you know what? If you love a thing, you love a thing, and in the end, what I think doesn't matter. But it
Mm.
still bothers me when it seems like some people love, especially in the anime community, they seem to love a show more for their own personal shipping than the actual story, characters, or plot.
Oh, right.
And we went to a One Piece photo shoot, and this is where I debuted my Zatoichi tribute of wow, wow, Fujitora. There we go. I was about to say, I
Right.
went blank. And new cosplay, which we had done an earlier outdoor photo shoot where we got all the crew together. You were your Bartolomeo. We had David
Hmm.
was I can't even tell you all these names anymore. That was a million years ago in One Piece terms.
He was Psy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we just we had our big group going in, and then we had a second one. I think it was maybe the second day or maybe later that day. We were trying to get in as many as we could, and
Hmm.
like we were in a small room. It was hot as balls in there, and all they wanted to take pictures of is whoever they were shipping in their own minds. I'm like, look, y'all. Like, I mean, I remember like I was getting mad. You know me, I get quiet when I get mad. I'm that guy, and I was in there like, man, I'm no one. Zatoichi, not Zatoichi, Fujitora is an older gentleman. I don't think anyone's shipping him with anybody. So of course,
Right.
no. I was like, hey, he just had that awesome throwdown with Sabo. Spoilers for anyone who doesn't know this. Sorry, but it's been 5 years now. uh,
Surprise.
in the anime, he threw down with Sabo, and I'm like, and we had some Sabo cosplayers, but all the late the night. I'm sure she's a lovely lady, and all she was like calling out for was so Sabo, Ace, and Luffy all posing like they want to fuck each other. Which, sorry, I'm not trying to like, hey, ship all you want. Just let me know this is what it's gonna be before I hang out in your hot ass room photo shoot, because that's when I'm gonna get irritated. And like you were like, because I think you knew the woman, at least maybe online or something. You seemed
Some of
yeah, you were kind of like, hey, what about Sabo and Fujitora?
them.
And I'll never forget because again, she was like, I guess, like it came across like, who wants to watch them fuck? But okay.
My like that was a bit cramped, and I was just kind of like, eh. But I think my favorite one that I took was Bardo versus fucking holy shit. How did I just forget? Uh,
There's so many
her
One
name.
Piece characters out there, y'all. It's like, and we've been, as you
uh,
know, we've been doing this a long time.
Boa Hancock.
Oh
Boa
yeah,
Hancock
yeah.
versus Bardo. Yeah,
Right. Who
yeah.
loves
So
Luffy more?
yeah, so I got to live out that one at least.
But was
That was
worth it
pretty
for
good.
me alone, and I didn't see either one of them get into this photo shoot either. Probably because it was just probably sticking to the same bullshit I did. My favorite, one of my favorite things I got though was a photo of all three of my top three One Piece characters in one shot. I was Fujitora, I found a Buggy, and I found a Tashigi. And we
Yes.
got a photo together. I was like, I even told them, like, "Hey, y'all are awesome. These costumes are fucking amazing." And this is us three are my favorite One Piece characters, and it's
Hmm.
like so happy. So it was worth it going to that photo, that bullshit photo shoot alone for that. But yeah, but I mean, and I don't want to be super negative on it. Again, I'm a reiterate because I'm sure I angered some of my friends who might be listening to this who like their shipping. Like your shipping all you want. Just be clear if your photo shoot is all about that. That you kind of tell people that so we can bounce when we don't want to be when we know we're not going to get a photo. And then what if I wanted to hold Luffy seductively? Y'all didn't say anything. They didn't check with Fujitora. He needs love too. He's blind, man.
Seriously, the nerve of some people. Am I right?
But that first Akon, though, as Beppo, is still one of my favorite memories. We also went to a photo shoot there. It was a nice outdoor one. I say nice as in sunny because it was hot as fucking balls at that shoot. And of course, in a mascot head, thick wool gloves, and my full-on jumpsuit. I was dying in that shoot. But it was great because we had run into uh, um, I know she goes by Dawako is like kind of her Instagram and her cosplay. I'm unfortunately forgetting her name right now, but we encountered her. Remember at the One Piece trivia contest that we went to
Right.
the day before that shoot, and she had we saw a Nami tattoo. And we're like, oh, that's great. Is that we were trying to look like that paint on? She's like, nah, this is it. Like, yeah, she has it. And she also mentioned like, yeah, we're gonna be at the shoot, and we're like, and she's like, yeah, I'm going as Beppo. I said, I'm going as Beppo. And we all had to get in the costumes, so I think we were all kind of running a little behind because a lot of people were already there talking. But from across the field, Beppo saw Beppo. And we ran arms out to each other, ran, met in the middle with a hug. Everyone's taking pictures. And then it got awkward because they were still taking pictures. I was like, I'm sorry, this is awkward. She's like, it's okay.
The Beppos.
The Beppos had to meet, and we did
Yeah.
one of our favorite pictures together. The classic image of Law kind of relaxing on a sleeping Beppo, just leaning
Yep.
back. We had that where the other Law and the other Beppo also jumped in on there, and got the
That
photos.
was that was actually my first that doing a prop, making my own prop.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I found one of those foam stress balls that was in the shape of a heart,
Yes.
and I got one of those little cases that you keep like a baseball in, like one of the clear plastic cases, and
Yep.
friggin' hot glued that shit together, and had my little take out like removable hearts,
Yep.
like Law
Room.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, because this was for those who are. I ain't gonna say current because again, this was 5, 6, 7 years ago. The Punk Hazard arc, I think, is where he
Hmm.
debuted the heart thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I believe that's where we got the most on it because he did shambles, just like flip people into pieces, replacing
right,
people's heads with cannonballs and shit like that.
but I think him squeezing the heart in the box thing was from that arc because that was
Hmm.
like we found a lot of people. I forget I can't remember her name now. The Harpy character from that arc. No, we had someone cosplaying there, and there was a lot of
Hmm.
like the newer kind of the newer part of that was the fresh arc I think that was going on when we went to Acon that year.
Hmm.
But that's enough like kind of ranting about the cosplay side, like because Much like a lot of nerds, I'm not good at keeping money, especially when you put cool shit in front of me. I love the vendor room. I love the big sellers. I love the small tables. I love too damn much because I always take out more money than I probably should. I'm like, this is it. This is my budget for the weekend. It's gone probably within the first or second day, and I'm still taking out more money on day three. But yeah, like what's some cool stuff you found at a con?
Oh man, I mean, partially, Akon is responsible for kind of getting me back into to Gunpla. I mean, I had a
Oh,
friend that was like a really big part of it, but Bluefin, Tamashii Nations had they like I guess they hold one of the big competitions that for the country, that puts you towards doing the competition for the world, like
right, right.
Gunpla. Uh, so it really kind of like spurred me into like, man, these things are awesome, and look at all the different things that people can do to them. So we could like paint them and stuff like that. So that was a really big thing. One thing that I know like our group always did was fucking look for like hard to find One Piece figures. Like that's where we got so much of our collection that weren't the Portrait of Pirates figures,
Right, right.
because it was always easier to find the harder to find stuff than the more expensive stuff.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things that I ever found up there was they did this line of figures, and I think they actually, now that I think about it, I think they were Portrait of Pirate figures, but they were characters as children, right?
Right, right.
So the one that I found was Law, and it's like little kid Law, and he's holding like a frog in one hand, and I think an apple in the other, and it was like one of my favorite figures for the longest time. And then it was like it's really fun whenever we got back home because we would just put all of our One Piece figures in a pile and take a picture and like, look at our haul, look at all the cool shit we got. So
Oh yeah.
that was always
Are they PLP? I'm trying to look. I actually inherited one
yeah.
from our friend Sonia's collection. It's one of the ones I kept for myself.
They might
Um,
just be Bandai.
yeah, but they're quality for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of his name. CP9 leader. I don't want to give away too
Rob
much.
Lucci.
Rob Lucci. I got
Yeah.
the kid version of Rob Lucci. I got well, that's
Nice.
inherited, but like of course, yeah, One Piece all the way. I remember the first Acon. I knew that was what I was going for because I mean I was into One Piece before I met you, but you and the crew, man, we went balls deep and into it, and that was when I was like, you know what, I want buggy stuff. Like y'all, I think got technically my first one. I think was the Chopper dressed as Buggy. I think y'all got me for Christmas the year I did. I think y'all got it at the Acon. I wasn't allowed to go to.
Right, right. Yeah, because we got you that, and then we got no friends some other thing from a comic book. But yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the year you weren't allowed to go.
yeah. So that was technically my first Buggy was Chopper dressed as Buggy, which I do
Hmm.
love. But when we
Hmm.
went there, I found man. I think one of the cooler stuff I found was the build a um is it Impel Down the prison
Yes, yes, yes.
the construct Impel Down little mini set, which was
Hmm.
each of the different levels, which again try not to go into until we do our future thing with One Piece, which we're not going to reveal here yet.
Yeah.
um, but that was cool, just because that's a little buggy thing. I found I don't know if it's a I think it's supposed to be a little bank, but it's Buggy's ship.
Yeah.
And had a little mini of him. I found a lot of Buggy that year, and I was like this starting the horde, which I know I've shared yeah, my collection videos. I showed off all of these things, a ton of Buggy stuff, but also I found man, I'm trying to go through this. I was just buying characters I liked, some of which I don't even have anymore because I really had to kind of narrow down my collection and kind of stay focused
Right.
because room is a motherfucker, as we all know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just finding some random stuff like that is great.
Hmm. And I
Ah,
mean,
yeah,
like the one of the biggest parts about conventions is getting to hang out with your friends.
yeah, and that's
Finish.
yeah. I guess we're about time. I was gonna say I was gonna wrap that up at the end of it, but yeah,
Hmm.
we're good here. That is honestly because I've got friends like of course we're on social media and we chat it all up, but I got friends I don't ever get to see, whether because life, miles, time outside of cons. And man, just really just getting to hang out with them, and just seeing, no, hanging there for good or seeing what they're into, seeing the cool shit they buy
Hmm.
is awesome. Or especially if it's like our cosplay groups. I'm part of Justice League Arkansas. We had only talked over Messenger planning for it's now called Saline County Expo, but it used to be called Little Rock Comic Con. They had a group cosplay that we want to enter in, and as the name implies, Justice League Arkansas, where it's a kind of a DC centric cosplay group. We wanted to do Justice League Apocalypse, where we're all
Oh.
taking our own creative takes on like if Mad Max meets DC, if they how characters would change and evolve. And they were the group that made me first create the kind of my own take, but a standard Professor Pig, for just our normal meetups. But then we did the Apocalypse one, and man, I just went like, I think Pig would slowly go crazy with his experiments,
Hmm.
and he's still experimenting on people. He's kidnapping heroes and villains alike, whoever he can grab, really. But he also is, sometimes experiments fail, and when you're in the wastelands, food's hard to come by.
Hmm.
So I made him into like a cannibal doctor who's just like raggedy clothes and like literally wearing a pig's head for a mask, and it looked fucking cool. I'm particularly
So
proud of
cool.
that creation, and he got a good reaction when we were walking in there, and everyone did great. All of our
Hmm.
group, we had a lot of great creative takes on the heroes and villains alike. But I'm a little proud when they were walking, they were announcing, we had a dude did Red Hood and Robin, and they were all kind of like tactical geared out, like desert kind of gear. It looked very cool. And then they're like, Sean Litton as Professor Pig, and they looked to the door, and there was an audible, oh, and I was like snarling, and just I had a meat cleaver and some big ass hooks, like for my own little head cannon, and we won. Actually, we won best group
That's
that year.
that's awesome.
But yeah, but I miss some peoples because
Yeah.
I know we were talking about friends. I went off on a cosplay tangent again, but
I,
because
I
this is your
I
fault.
mean, yeah, I mean, and honestly, you bringing that up reminded me of a really good group that we did.
Yeah,
We did Marvel villains one year at Comic Conway.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, I did fucking Electro. You did Absorbing Man.
Yeah,
Sarah did
Doom.
Doctor Doom. Yeah, and then David did Mysterio, and John did Venom.
Yes, yep, yeah.
Yeah,
That was early cosplay too. That might have been my second one.
yeah. I could definitely see it like after Beppo.
Yeah, I think. And Beppo again. I know we gave a shout out to her before. I'm gonna shout out to her again. You mentioned Sarah doing her Doctor Doom. She, Queen Koopa cosplay. Sarah Drew. Yeah, she made the Beppo head mask. So Beppo never would happen because as good as like Cat is, and everyone else, we all put our creative juices together. I don't think any of us was making that mascot head. So big shout out
Right.
to Miss Sarah Drew. But yeah, no, that Absorber Man was a lot of fun. Uh, there's some mistakes I don't want to get into on it, that, and kind of looking back in retrospect, but no, it was all good. You know what? I'll talk about it. And
Yeah.
because it's something I think some of us need to be aware of, and I didn't think of it, and to my knowledge, I mean, nobody approached me, and I, of course, would have fixed the problem. For those who don't know,
Mhm.
Absorbing Man, as his name, he touches metal, his skin becomes metal, and one of his big things is he has a giant black iron, ball and chain, like old school prisoner, like you see in old cartoons. So
Mhm.
I did the idea of like kind of like painting, like I didn't want it to go full, obviously,
Mhm.
but I think more of my face was painted than it should have been. You know what
Right.
you're getting at, and
Yeah.
and I'm walking around as a prisoner, and like
Yeah.
it could have, and what, and not only, and no one said anything. People ask like, "Who are you supposed to be? You look familiar," and I would explain it quickly. I would, and again, this is years later. I didn't think about it at the time, and I think that can
Mhm.
happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And the only reason I really want to get into that was because sometimes, and myself included, I can own up to it. And I was very careful because I tried to do it again, and I really looked at it, and I was like, "No, no, this ain't working
Yeah.
anymore." Be careful, really think about your what you're cosplaying, what you're doing, to make sure you do it with, if you're gonna go, even don't even go near that, obviously. But if like
Mhm.
with Absorbent Man, I should have just done a little bit coming up the neck from the face instead of covering half my face.
Right.
Just
Right.
you gotta kind of
And,
be
and,
aware of that kind of stuff.
and I feel that, like, I don't know, that design probably would have been better on you in the long run too. But
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta kind of be socially aware of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, you know.
And I hope no one got offended by it because it was certainly not the intention. But
Mm,
and to my knowledge, again, if anyone had said something like, "Dude, that looks like this," and I would be like, "Oh,
mm,
let me go wash my face," hundred
mm.
percent. But anyway, that was still regardless. So it was a good group, a lot of fun. Like
Yeah.
your boss at the time, Matt, even pulled
Hmm.
us in to do a shot in front of his comic book booth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
David doing the frosting on his Mysterio helmet because it was classic Mysterio from the comics look. It was
Hmm.
fucking badass.
Yeah, it worked out really
Yeah.
well.
But yeah, so yeah, conventions a lot of fun.
Hmm.
I miss my con friends. Sadly, some of them have to be relegated because, like I said, miles. Some of them live hours away from us.
Yeah.
Social media is great and all, but like I miss meeting up with everybody. Miss having some fun, watching the cosplay contest and silently judging those who beat me because how dare they be better than me.
Right.
Hosting panels, man, we did a few of that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Got a Noel and
The,
me doing the most the hardest anime quiz ever. That was supposed to be a quick thing.
I don't think I ever even heard about how.
Oh yeah, it was just like anime trivia, but the problem is anime is so vast,
Hmm.
and not even in the ones you think are like, oh man, everyone knows Cowboy Bebop. Let's ask a question
Hmm.
from there. And all these 18-year-olds that never watched a 20-year-old anime, it was fun, but yeah, we had to eventually kind of like there was at times we were drawing the questions, and it was random questions. We just made up a lot of different things. No, it wasn't even questions. Sorry, it was like brief descriptions of characters. Like how do you kind of obscurely, abstractly describe Spike from Cowboy Bebop? You know what I mean?
Uh,
And yeah, maybe a little harder than intended, but you live and learn.
yeah. It's definitely one of those things where you're like, figure out how to do it better and effectively the next time.
Oh yeah, for sure. But no, yeah, I miss conventions. I don't miss the smell. Again, y'all can afford deodorant, but we all know about the con funk, the con crud. But you know what?
Yes.
I was talking about this the other day. Like, man, you, y'all who know, who are either the hard partiers at cons or the cosplayers who were in their costume for 12 hours, just living our best lives in Tyrannosaur. Does not the shittiest breakfast bar at any hotel just slap harder that next day? Like that is the best shit you'll ever eat at a fucking con.
It's because your fucking body is like fucking dying because you haven't had anything to eat. Like I said, like half the people that I know that went to cons, like literally drove their day of,
Yeah,
just fucking drank alcohol and energy drinks the entire time and shitty expensive food.
yeah,
So it was like you had a bunch of these people running around, not taking showers, eating really shitty expensive food and drinking alcohol and having energy drinks. So
yeah.
it's like,
'Cause if you don't sleep, you don't need a hotel room.
that's true.
I guess
That's
that's the
true.
mentality of it.
Uh,
Yeah, I've heard of some hotel conventions. They go all night into the day. You just kind of find a hallway maybe to doze off for a second. I'm not
mhm.
about that life, but hey, bully for you if that's how you're making it to your cons, man. I can't hate too hard on it, except the smell.
Right.
I'll hate on that all day. But yeah, that I was talking about that. Like, man, you come in, like you see some of the people who are still in costume, just like half, or at least half of it, they didn't take the pants off, just sitting
Right.
there, just staring at their Belgian waffle that they made, and now don't have the energy to even eat. And I'm sitting here just like, give me the more eggs, more hash browns, give me that banana because I gotta be healthy. Get that one
Right.
banana and a yogurt.
Oh man.
Dude, but yeah, that breakfast at the hotel, man, that is the best food you'll eat at a con all weekend. I don't care if you go out to the fanciest restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah. It was real wild. Like people need to take care of themselves more at conventions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've we've had some I've had some friends who kind of like got into some trouble. Which when I'm not here to harp on anyone. You live your lives. Just be safe. Be careful. Don't take anything. Don't take just anything handed to you at the rave. Which I never go to them raves because I'm an old man. I don't dance anyway. But yeah, there's I miss cons so much, brother. I really do. And
Oh yeah.
but I'm not. I don't want to rush. I had because I know we had one or two cons still go on here in Arkansas during this whole pandemic,
Shame.
and man, I ain't gonna lie, brother, because I'm very much a proponent of being safe. Stay 6 feet, wear masks, clean yourself, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Up until the day I was like, I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I'll wear a cosplay that has a mask involved, like Team Skull or something, and
Hmm.
I can stay far away. But the day of it came, and I'm like, man, the first person who sees me like keeping my distance and thinks they're funny and gonna run up on me is gonna get their ass beat, and I gotta go to jail in cosplay for beating up this fucking nerd dressed like Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Like I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I can't do it. I didn't do it. I'm glad it was a smart call. But
Mm.
literally
Yeah.
up until the day of, I was like, I'm going. I
Oh
want to be at a con again, and I
yeah.
really do.
Yeah. Definitely think you're a better person for not going.
Yeah, I know it was the adult smart thing to do, but fuck. But all right, brother, I think that's gonna do it for our
Yeah.
time, man. Thank you for reminiscing with me because
Oh
you were a big part of me going to more conventions.
yeah.
The couple I went to were by happenstance. Once I started
Right.
hanging with you, man, it really became like we're planning this every year. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah,
It was. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Like we had some great times at them.
oh yeah,
We'll have to. I'll have to find some around here. You'll have to plan a vacation or something. Come out here whenever
yeah.
everything calms down a bit.
For sure, that's something we had definitely discussed for promotion of this alone, and if nothing else, to see each other again. Was like maybe
Hmm.
you can come down for one con a year, and I'll try to come up there for one con a year, man. And
Absolutely.
yeah, do it to it, as they say. But that's going to do it for today. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this video, if you did enjoy it, you can still share it and tell your friends. But of course, like, comment. Let us. I'd love to hear some of y'all's convention stories. Out there.
Oh yeah.
Hit us up in the comments. Hit us up on the social medias if you have access to them. If y'all haven't given up on Facebook like a lot of people. But
All right.
that's gonna do it. Yeah, we'll catch y'all next time.
Yeah. Oof. Peace.